Hello everyone, welcome to Game Junk Prototype episode 57, recording on Thursday, April 15th, 2021. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name's Andrew.
And we're going to be talking about the Resident Evil showcase that took place today, as well as the Nintendo Indie World showcase that took place yesterday. Maybe talk about the Last of Us remake on PS5. I don't want to. I really don't. But Sean's telling me I have to.
We bullied Frank into it, so.
I think it's a non-story, but I must discuss it. You want to start with that? Fuck it, I don't care. We were just talking about it. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so apparently there's a Last of Us remake being made on PlayStation 5, which people are very concerned about. That this remake is getting made. I don't understand the controversy. It seems like it's a lot of rumors and speculation. No one is making anyone buy this. It sounds like it's being cleared up that it was going to be packaged with Last of Us 2 remastered on PS5, which I is expecting will happen anytime now. I'm assuming the same for Ghost of Tsushima at some point. But what is the controversy here? I'm a little clueless as to why this is such a problem.
Well, I mean, we were kind of talking throughout the week via text message and stuff. And, you know, this story came out. It was being posted everywhere. It was weird because people were framing it in different ways. And we were all talking like, what is the story here? I don't get it. And, like, I guess the one clear story, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, is just that they're apparently doing a remake of The Last of Us, the first game, for PS5. You know, okay, they just did, you know, a PS4 remastered version not that long.
8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
No, it seems closer because it's a really good game and people play it a lot.
So that's one part of it. I you know, that was definitely the thing a lot of people were picking up on. There's this other thing in the story that it's centered on, I guess, the studio that was supposed to be working on it. Let me find Visual Arts Service Group, who I guess are like sort of this Sony support studio. And they've been trying to get their own projects off the ground, and they kind of just keep getting assigned to support other bigger projects. They had this one was going to be their project, and apparently got taken away from them, given back to Naughty Dog. So the bit of the story is about that that studio wasn't happy. Apparently some people left. And so there's this kind of thing like Sony is not taking chances on original IPs, and they're just remaking the same stuff over and over again, and they're not giving a chance to the like mid-level studios.
Sony is remaking the same stuff over and over again?
I mean, like,
there's that happening. They seem to be like one of the only companies that have been doing.
I mean, maybe not just remaking, but just
what are the new IPs
on their big franchises?
What are the new IPs from Microsoft? What are the new IPs from Nintendo? Because I can't think of one in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I can definitely think of a for Sony.
I think we can all agree that Nintendo would, you know, get a lot more.
Splatoon, pardon me, I'll say Splatoon. Although I don't know how long ago the first Splatoon was, but
yeah, the only other one I could think of is maybe like the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, but even that's not really new.
That's Ubisoft, pardon me. So yeah, I just don't get it. Like Nintendo, I know I'm going to go down the Nintendo road again. They resell the same games that are 8 years old, full price. Demon Souls was 11 years old when it was remade, pretty much, and people seem to love that was getting remade. I guess it's just because The Last of Us had a PS4 remaster at the launch of PlayStation 4. I just don't get it. I do not understand why this is such a big deal. No one's making you buy it. If you think it's such a terrible, awful thing, don't buy it when it comes out. And then Sony will adjust and change how they approach this type of stuff. But my guess is it's going to sell a lot of copies, and I'm going to be one of the people that buys it as well. So it's weird. I think it said they're going to package it, or the speculation was that it's going to be packaged with Last of Us 2 for PS5 is one big thing. And people were saying, are they going to recast the roles like Spider-Man remaster on 5 did. I can't see that happening, but maybe I that
You
would be a
said maybe
lot of
maybe to tie into the HBO series, right?
yeah. I've seen speculation in a lot of directions on what that would be. But I mean, if you're good, that might have made sense on its own. But if you're going to package it with the second one, like in terms of, it's not trilogy cred, but sequel cred, like you'd want some continuity between the two, I would think. So that would mean to me almost you have to redo the second one with those actors, which uh, seems like a bit of a stretch. So
The other thing, and I don't know if this was in the original Bloomberg article from Jason Schreier, but there's mention that I think in February, Sony changed up their Japan studios team, like kind of like redistributed them or something. And these are like, the people who did Ape Escape, Knack, Gravity Rush, and Loco Roco. So that was another headline I saw, is that Sony is focused on blockbusters over smaller indie games. And so maybe that's like, I don't see that necessarily in the Bloomberg article, but
I can see that. But let's be honest, Sony's blockbuster games are better than those other games you mentioned. I could see if those games were like universally like, these are the better games, people like them better, but they don't sell as well as the blockbusters. Kind of like in a movie comparison, smaller movies tend to be more critically favored, and people are like, these blockbusters suck, but everyone goes to see them. Like, we're losing these kind of not middle of the road, but middle budget, like ambitious movies. That's not really the case here. Like, those blockbuster games are blockbusters because they're good games, not because they're Sony AAA products. Like, AAA products can fail and fail hard. They actually have to be good to sell typically and to get good review scores. So, I mean, I'm always in favor of more games and people taking chances on games, but I think there's been a clear trend over the last 10 years that stuff is going into the indie landscape. Like, I don't think anyone would argue that. I'm not saying I love that, but it's clear that in terms of making money, which I'm sure Sony is all about, just like every company is, that these games are really good. They're well reviewed. People love them. Why aren't we trying to make more of those? Which I can see both sides of the argument to some degree, but we all love those games. We have them at the top of our top 10 lists every year. So how can this be a bad direction? We don't want you to make more of the games we put on the top of our lists and buy. It's like both. It doesn't make any sense to me. I could see if everyone's like, these games are shit, but everyone loves them. It's not. Everyone loves them.
yeah, it's like, again, and this is what you were arguing the whole time, is we don't really know enough about, where these studios and people are being redistributed to. It sounds like, yeah, maybe some of them are going to remakes and sequels to big blockbusters, but I mean, they're still doing other stuff. So it's a weird thing for people to be freaking out over right now.
I mean, there was trends in games I never understood. Like, every big game needed a multiplayer component, right? And it was like, where's the multiplayer? Where's the multiplayer? And then they'd put multiplayer in their games and everyone would be like, this multiplayer shit, I don't need this. But they had to have it, right? And it's like, eventually people are like, no one cares, just make your game or make just a multiplayer game. And these kind of divisions happen. But I don't think we're at a point where people are saying we're sick of these Sony AAA games at all. I don't feel that vibe from the industry or game players whatsoever. God of War won Game of the Year almost unanimously. Last of Us Part 2, same thing. Spider-Man, beloved. So if their goal is to make more, like Days Gone was an attempt to make a game like that. I didn't play it. I didn't dislike it. I would like to revisit it, but there's got to be something to it. Like, it's not. I don't hear an opposite case until these articles started popping up, like why this is such a problem. Because until now, it's been nothing but praise.
Well, I mean, reading the article too, it almost seems like this is a little bit of a stretch potentially, because the headline of the Bloomberg article by Jason Schreier is Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest within the PlayStation empire. That makes it sound like shit's crumbling around Then you read the next line, the very next line, the subheadline, a small team had big ambitions. And then you read down and the small team is 30 people. That's like the animation team of Naughty Dog size. Like Naughty Dog is probably 300 people. This is 30 people at some studio that helps out on games. And yeah, of course they had ambitions to try something big. And when they got shut down, of course they're going to be upset. I mean, we worked on a game for 4 years and it got shut down. You think we weren't upset? We were a little upset. You work 4 years of your life, you get nothing. These guys probably put in 6 months on a prototype, got nothing. Yeah,
I think it was
upset.
I think in the one article I said, it was like it's been in development for 2 years. I mean, who knows to what capacity,
well, I mean,
right? Like, no, I'm just saying it could have been concept. Like, who knows how? Like, that's what I mean. We don't know any of this.
Pre-production.
Yeah, it's a lot of speculation. We don't know how Sony handles this stuff. Like, that's why I don't even like commenting on the internal politics stuff of Sony, because who knows? But just in terms of the big budget stuff, like, no one was complaining about this at all. Everyone buys them, everyone loves them, and now it's a problem. I just don't know where that came from.
Well, and then the other example he says is about the Sony Bend, and he says that quote a small number or some. I think it was some. Like, what is some? It said it's some, including some top leads left when they didn't approve Days Gone 2. Okay, like some. What is some? Some could be 3 people.
Well, look at the video games industry. They were the one that I think the Metacritics on that game were very poor. I think players actually liked it more than, or better than it was reviewed by most publications. So who's stirring the pot here? Who's making these games fail? And then you want to have an article saying it's concerning? Like,
and it's weird. Like, is Days Gone 2 not considered a blockbuster sequel then? Like, is that... I mean, I guess maybe it's a little bit more of a risk, and the fact that they don't want to take that risk is not great.
The reason they're not taking the risk is because critics kind of didn't universally praise Days Gone like it did other games, and that's where it kind of fell by the wayside. But like, my favorite game is a PlayStation blockbuster that was a totally new idea. Horizon. Completely unique. Amazing game. So I think Sony, from what I can see, is taking chances in the right places and picking their spots. I think they're pretty good at judging games are good or not.
It's funny because in this article he literally says, like, lately they've been taking chances on their most successful developers. And they cite Naughty Dog and Guerrilla. Yeah, okay, the guys who basically make the best games ever. Of course you're going to give them money. Of course you're going to give them lots of money to make the next awesome game that makes you incredible amounts of money. I mean, why would you take a risk on a group of 30 people that have only done support and never shipped a game with a big project over Guerrilla? Like, of course you're going to give the money to Guerrilla.
And I'm sure they wanted to build that studio. Like, I don't think they made that decision in a vacuum. Something was provided, some deliverable that they assessed, or who knows, COVID could be a factor too. Like, we don't know any of this stuff. It just seems weird that this is...
there's no timelines or anything. I mean, it could have happened, 2 months ago. It could have happened 2 years ago. Who knows?
It seems weird that this switch got flipped out of nowhere, and I didn't see it coming. I saw no build up, and I was talking, like, Microsoft's, to me, their marketing strategy is to be the good guys of gaming, give everyone what they want, backwards compatibility, everything works, the gamer friendly platform. And it might actually be a pretty good strategy, because it seems to be working. That they tend to get a lot of positive press, and Sony gets the negative press, except when it comes to awards time. Then we know where that press goes.
Yep.
Right?
Definitely.
Okay, let's move on. Sorry. I didn't even want to talk about it, but clearly I'm passionate about the topic. So let's get to the Resident Evil showcase, which took place today. I watched it. It was short, which was nice. Both showcases we're going to talk about were short, which was nice rather than having to go through 3 hours of stuff like last time. But not a lot to talk about in Resident Evil. Obviously, the focus was the new trailer, which didn't seem like that much new stuff. I know there were articles talking about a cooking system that people were speculating on, which seemed like it would fit in a Resident Evil game to me. They teased, apparently, I think it's Chris Redfield at some point, and they were like, I know people can't wait to find out what Chris's involvement is. And I'm like, I couldn't care less. Like, I didn't even know it was him, to be honest, until you said the name Chris. So I don't understand. I know I'm not a rare exception, but the mythology of video game stories and Resident Evil, I couldn't follow it. Don't care. I just like the gameplay. I think they're great games. So I think Village looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on in terms of story and mythology. I don't really know where this falls, or like, I mean, obviously it's connected to Resident Evil 7, but bringing back other characters and stuff doesn't mean much to me. But one weird thing that stood out to me a little bit, and maybe this was in previous trailers and stuff, and I just never noticed it, but like the logo or some of the concept art had sort of this like face that was like half looked like a werewolf or something. And they in the trailer they mentioned something about lichens or something. Mm-hmm. So it seems like werewolves are in this game, and I think they may have been like in the original Resident Evil or something briefly, but like they've never been like a huge.
Sean's liking what he's hearing.
No, I just, it's a weird, it's different, I guess, and like people are saying, does this mean they're going supernatural? Because up until now, Resident Evil has kind of always been science and virus based.
Resident Evil is science based.
Well, as it's more science fiction than supernatural.
I don't think 7 was. Stuff. 7 was pretty much supernatural.
Was it?
I think so.
Well, and they sort of they kind of imply that that tall lady is a vampire or something, where she starts trying the guy's blood.
Right, yeah.
So that was sort of kind of tie into the whole like Dracula lichens thing, or vampires, I guess. So it could be something like that.
I personally like the shift. Whatever's going on, I wouldn't say like that's what Resident Evil 4 was, but I'm getting more Resident Evil 4 vibes from this game. I think the location, they keep talking about the castle versus the village. It seems to be this big thing. And there's 2 demos coming out, one for each area, or I think each area is getting a time demo on PlayStation platforms. And then there's another demo for all platforms where you can kind of choose if you want to explore the castle or the village. So that seems to be a big selling feature of the game. I don't know if I care that much or if that intrigues me all that much, but I do think the game looks amazing.
Yeah, I agree on the setting feeling a bit Resident Evil 4-ish. Can we just talk briefly about how confusing this demo situation is?
Oh yeah.
Like what the hell is going on, man?
Oh my God.
So there's an 8-hour window you have to play the game, or play the demo.
That's on Sony platforms, right? Isn't there 2 8-hour windows, one for the castle, one for the village on Sony on April?
Yeah, it looks like it's just a PlayStation.
Depending on your time zone too.
Yeah. But like, so depending on what region you live in, there's a certain day and a certain 8-hour window that you will be allowed to play the demo, and then within that demo, you can only play 30 minutes of the castle and 30 minutes of the village. Like, what the heck, man? Like,
it was very confusing.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Really get it.
I was like, what? I'm so not playing this demo now. It was weird they were going to say it's available now, and I was going to have to try and scramble to play it for tonight, and I'll buy the game when it comes out. I'm good. And then the other demo seems like it's like actually starting the game almost, like, although that could be wrong. They said you could play it for a full hour and explore the village. That's the cross-platform.
I think the cross-platform one is also village or castle. But
Yeah, I think you make that decision at the beginning. It's who cares? Like it's really.
but like I mean, it sounds like the demo is literally just exploring the environment and maybe having a few enemies to kill. But it seems like maybe all the story stuff has been stripped out.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure.
Yeah, it was weird. They're adding like a mercenaries mode, and but on top of that, there was also like I think like Resident Evil 3 remake, another game that comes with it if you pre-order it called like RE Verse or something, which seems like the multiplayer game that came with Resident Evil 3. So there's two different multiplayer modes, or is Mercenaries mode single player? It might just be single player.
I never played Mercenaries. I'm not sure which games it was with previously.
Is it Revelations? Those two?
Was that the one that was like on the 3DS at some point?
I think there was something similar to that in Resident Evil 2 remake, or maybe it was 3, where you were in this one area. It was almost like a zombies Call of Duty thing where it was waves, but it was
like
a
horde mode
smaller
kind of
environment. Yeah, it was a much smaller environment though, so it was really hard. But yeah, it's Village looks pretty sweet. No VR updates though, although well for part 8.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was kind of. There's a couple other small things, but yeah, the other big thing I think was the announcement of Resident Evil 4 coming to VR, specifically Oculus.
And they said Quest 2, right? Like,
definitively? They specifically called that one out. Now, okay, first thought, I mean, Resident Evil 4 has got to be approaching the level of Doom in terms of the number of platforms it's been on, because it's been remade and re-released a bunch of times. But the other thing was, so I mean, I don't have a Quest currently, so my first thought was like, I wonder if this will come to PSVR. Now the weird thing is, I watched this showcase originally on the PlayStation channel. That's just the one that came up first on YouTube for me. And when it gets to the end, they just cut and go like, well, that's the end of our stream. And I was like, what? I thought they announced.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, where's the Resident Evil 4 VR announcement? And they just cut it out of the Sony one. So makes me think it's not coming to PSVR.
That actually is concerning a little bit. So,
yeah,
especially since
strange.
they announced like VR2 potentially coming.
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to give press to Oculus or Facebook, but it was a little weird.
Yeah, to a VR competitor, I guess. But you have to know what's coming ahead of time and set that up. So that is a little odd. The other things were an anime series, even though like on Netflix, even though it looks like it's CG, which I
I guess it's a Japanese studio, so I guess they're calling it an anime series.
The reboot movies finished shooting, and
in Toronto, very, very timely, as we are basically deep in a pandemic where even the US is like, don't travel to Canada, don't go to Toronto. Very appropriate.
And a Resident Evil Dead Before Daylight event, which I'm not really into that game, but May 25th, I think. So overall, I'm still excited. I don't think my needle moved at all. It's right where it was. My needle stayed firmly in place. And I will be buying Village, which is actually like less than a month away at this point, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, it was cool.
But I am pumped for the Resident Evil 4 Oculus, like a game that I bought the Oculus Quest. Haven't really had many reasons to play it. That seems like it would be a great game to play on there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the Nintendo Indie World Showcase. I don't know if I'm going to go through everything. Maybe I'll touch on a few things. I thought Road 96 looked interesting. It was almost like this kind of choose your own adventure, Mad Libs adventure game, which, again, I'm going to bring up the Steven Spielberg game, LMNO, where it seems like it's a kind of branching movie almost with lots of different versions. Thought it looked okay.
Yeah, I thought it looked kind of cool. It's weird. When the trailer started, I thought for sure this was there's a game that literally just came out for Apple Arcade like 2 or 3 weeks ago called Hitchhiker. Looks very similar to this. And as soon as they started, I was like, oh, this is just this coming to Switch, but it was a totally different game. So
I'm not going to talk about many other games. Just I thought they all looked really good. The one that stood out to me was The Longing, just in terms of its concept. I thought the art was really cool. I just bought it on Steam. It came out today. I haven't played it yet though. But it's like 400 days real time. I'm curious to know what that's all about. Like that was an intriguing pitch to me.
yeah, cool idea. I mean, I didn't really understand how that works in the game, so I'll be curious to hear your experience with it, Frank, but it's a cool idea for sure.
That
The other,
sounded
sorry,
good to me. I was just to say that did not sound good to me at all.
I like the art style a lot though. I liked all the game's art styles, to be honest. The other interesting one, or people were kind of talking about, was Getsumiden, which is Konami making games again. That seems to be an article that's been going around, or that Metal Gear might be for sale, the property, and looks like Konami needs to make some money. So I thought that looked cool as well. I'm not familiar with the original game that it's based on. It was a game released in Japan only, I believe. But I thought it looked pretty neat. And I guess the other big thing was Oxenfree 2 being a reveal at the end, which I think we were talking before. I liked what I played of Oxenfree. I didn't realize it was, that huge, that it would kind of be a showcase moment. So good for that developer. I should go back and play Oxenfree because I did like what I played.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back and finish that, but I agree. I mean, like, it's cool, but kind of surprising that was like the thing they ended on. I did try out, so one of the games early on that they showed was this game Never Yield, which
Yeah.
we have a demo for currently on the eShop.
Like Endless Runner?
Yeah, so I tried it out, and I mean, I like the art style and the music and stuff, but it is basically just an automatic runner where you're either jumping over things or diving under things. And it seems like there's a little bit of a story there, but I only really played the first level, so I didn't get too far into it, but it was all right.
I had a similar reaction. Like, it looked cool, but I mean, I'm just not into that genre that much, so.
Yeah.
I guess there was a bunch of Annapurna games, but not a lot of detail on them. I didn't think anyway.
Well, one of them was Last Stop, which
Yeah.
we talked about in a previous show, and it actually looked more interesting to me in this trailer that they showed, because they seem to imply that there's like 3 different storylines that are kind of interweaving amongst them, whereas that other trailer we saw, it was kind of just like they showed the gameplay of one point of view, and they didn't really explain how the game works other than that. So it just looked like it was more like a walking puzzle game kind of thing. But this kind of is a little more interesting. And Hindsight was one of the other ones, and it seemed kind of had an interesting time mechanic where it was like based on the decisions you make or something. It was something where they were implying like your decisions can change, or something to do with your decisions in the future and the past and stuff. And I was kind of intrigued by that.
Yeah, it seemed interesting. The one game I thought of Sean that I thought he might be interested in was There Is No Game, which looks like some kind of meta game type thing.
It was on my top 10 list. I've played it. So
really?
It's definitely, it's definitely
Where did you
something
play
I
it?
liked. I played it on Steam,
Oh, okay.
but I haven't finished it, so I guess I should go back and finish it.
I got to start listening to you.
Every trailer I see of that, it just looks like there's so many game mechanics tied into that game. I don't even know what it is. I'm interested in it. I will definitely not play it on Switch, but if it's on Steam, I'll give it.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks. Maybe I said it looks very WarioWare-ish, which something.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a point and click adventure game when you boil it down, but it's just the idea is that you're kind of seeing a particular game and you're kind of able to peer behind the scenes of that game and interact with it. So it's kind of cool.
If I had a game for Huck I was highlighting, it was that Chris Tales, which was,
I tried that when it was, I believe there was a demo on Xbox, or it was free on Xbox for a while, and I tried it and I couldn't really get into it. It was really cumbersome to play the overworld part of it. The battle mechanics were fine, but the overworld part was really confusing. There was some sort of like time element, and it wasn't really well explained in the demo, so it really kind of turned me off. But I think overall, like a lot of these games were either out already or announced already. There really wasn't too many big surprises here. One of the games I saw that was just in the little montage section was a game called Labyrinth City Pierre the Maze Detective, which kind of looked like Where's Waldo puzzle game, which the art style was really neat, really intriguing. But most of the other stuff looked pretty familiar, actually, to tell you the truth. Nothing really stood out.
Yeah, and that Maze Detective game is based on a series of books, and I am kind of intrigued by it. The other kind of, and I mean, it seemed like a big announcement, but was it really Fez coming to Switch?
Yeah. How old is that game? That's like 15 years old, maybe? More?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I kind of forgot, but I mean that's kind of cool. It's a good game. I thought, who owns it though? Like, wasn't that the Phil Fish studio? Like, didn't he get out of games, or like I don't know what happened with that studio.
I don't either. I imagine the studio still exists.
Poly something it's called, or
Polytron.
Polytronic.
Polytron, yeah.
Polytron.
Yeah, they're still listed as the publisher and developer of it. So,
Ollie Ollie World, never really got into those, but this one looked okay. I know Huck and his kids are excited for TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which had been announced before.
Yeah.
The weakest game to me was like might have been that Aztec Forgotten Gods. I thought that the demo was like kind of confusing. Like I really couldn't make sense of the gameplay. And when it got to the open world area, like all the buildings looked kind of repetitive, and I don't know. I liked the enemies, the models for the enemies and stuff like that, but that was the one I didn't really see much of a game there in the way it was presented. Mm-hmm. But I did like Skull the Hero Slayer, a roguelite that I'm into those, and I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, it reminded me of like here Hollow Knight meets like Kid Chameleon type gameplay, where I think they said it was a roguelike and then you switched your
I was trying to remember how does anyone remember the game Decap Attack? I feel like a game
No.
I meant to look it up. Decap Attack was like you were this mummy that would throw a head for Genesis, and I think you could get different heads to throw, but I might be misremembering that. What was the guy's name? I do not remember this game. Decap Attack starring, I thought it was like a main character. Anyway, I might be imagining that.
Do not remember that at all.
Chuck D. Head?
Chuck D. Head, yeah. Where you throw your head. This was like, this showed up in a lot of bargain bins, and it was one of the first Genesis games I got because it was like $20. But I mean, it's a cool. Getting back to the Sony thing, like, just look at Sega. See all those Sega Saturn games down there? Those are original IPs that failed miserably, that almost sunk a system and company completely. So, like, be careful. Like, I'm all for new stuff too, but you know, some of the blame has to be put on the consumers. They're the ones that aren't interested in the new stuff. So, like, if they were, they would make them.
Yeah.
Like, I remember EA, remember the Dante's Inferno? They did this big push, Mirror's Edge, and they kind of flopped. How soon was the Mirror's Edge remake to when that got released? That was pretty soon too, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah.
I remember people being very concerned, even though they're always concerned with what EA is doing.
Did they actually remake Mirror's Edge?
Yeah.
Because I thought they did a sequel too.
They did, I think.
It was a remake.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, overall, there was some cool stuff here. I guess I just felt like the overall the show lacked sort of like the one big, like, huge thing that everyone would be excited about.
If I'm comparing it to the Xbox showcase, there was like a lot more stuff I was really geared up about after that one than Not that I didn't like these games. I'd probably try every one of the ones I saw, but the Xbox one, I remember there being games I was like, I can't wait to play this.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so are we good to move on to what we played? Anything else we need to cover?
No,
I think we're good.
that's it.
I can't believe we did that in half an hour.
I mean, we've been doing a lot of these
We
showcases.
talked more about
lately.
the PS5's debacles than we did about that. So anyway, I'm good for that. I knew I shouldn't have talked about it. It got me all fired up.
But that's why you should talk about it.
Oh. Anyway, what have we played, gentlemen?
Actually, I want to say one thing. I just want to say a congratulations to Lightning Rod Games, who developed that game of Fold
yes.
Apart, and my company helped port the game to like all the platforms, and it won Best Mobile Game at the Canadian Game Developer. I guess it's not Game Developer; it's just Game Awards, because they had other awards for esports and stuff. But congratulations to them, and obviously we deserved it.
Awesome. Yeah, you should have reminded me. I should have led the show with that. That's awesome.
Oh, it slipped my mind as well.
Congrats. It feels like so long ago. It was like
Oh yeah, I know.
Friday, right?
Well, I think we shipped it early.
No, the awards
20
were last Friday,
Oh,
right?
yeah. But we also shipped that game a long time ago. I guess they've still been updating it, but I mean, I haven't touched it since I think February of last year.
We're just trying to find the winners. What were the big winners?
It was like kind of like Ubisoft and EA kind of split everything. Star Wars Squadrons won something. Valhalla won something.
Spiritfarer won art direction,
Yeah,
right?
Spiritfarer won art.
I love that game.
Yeah, a lot of really good games won.
Cool.
I guess we should have talked about that maybe as well. But I mean, Canadian Game Awards are not really that big of a deal.
Not moving YouTube's needle.
No.
It is weird, like that. Those awards, just because they, the main criteria is that it's a Canadian developer, but then you get giant games versus like these tiny games, and it's a really weird mix.
Yeah, and Ubisoft it's like a French studio, but there is Canadian subsidiaries, but then those subsidiaries use like all of the Ubisoft talent, so you're getting talent from like the Philippines and China and who knows where else, right? So it's like this big monster conglomerate of
You might even say it's concerning.
There you go.
All right, what did we play?
Well, I got something that you might be interested in, Frank. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out or if you even heard of this, but Apple Arcade, we didn't really talk about this. They dumped a bunch of games last week on the
Is this the game I downloaded that I haven't played yet?
I don't know, which one was that?
Alba?
No, I didn't play that. But I played Hanz Golf, which is from the developers of Everybody's Golf. And I think you're a fan of that franchise, or are you a fan of Hot Shots more? I don't know if...
Everybody's Golf is Hot Shots Golf.
Right, but I didn't know
They
if...
just changed the name.
Okay.
But,
so it's...
that company, I will definitely...
Yeah, so it's a golf game, and it's, the gimmick or the twist is that it's team-based golf. So you have... you kind of play like tournaments of 3 holes, and you have a bunch of characters, and you have to assign one character to play one hole, one character to play another hole, and they each have their own sort of things they're good at and not good at. So there's a bit of strategy in terms of choosing who you assign to each hole. And then as you play through, you challenge people, and if you beat them, then they become part of your roster. And it has sort of RPG elements as well. And I thought it was great in terms of something for mobile. Like, it's very good in terms of like a pick up and play golf game. If you don't want to sit down and play like an 18-hole game, these things are very short and quick. I'm not sure, like, for you, Frank, what would you say, like, why do you love Hot Shots Golf and Everybody's Golf? Just the sort of simplicity of it, or...
No, it's the element of control. It's, I feel like I can accurately take in all the information, wind, like basically what you do in any golf game, and process all the variables or factors that are going to go into a shot and execute it. But then you also have like advanced elements like spins and super spins, which it just, and you can go quickly between shots. You can like speed up in between things. It's not like walking, and like it's just about golfing, which is what I like. All these other games add, you know, stuff in between, customization stuff, and I don't know, it's the focus is not on the golf game itself. That's why I love Toadstool Tour, because you know, it's like get into the game and do stuff. I don't have to go around some mini map and bullshit around. If anything, Everybody's Golf started to add an overworld map, which I was not crazy about it. I really like the one for Vita that was just like, do this tour, go. So I don't know. I just think it's very, like you said, accessible, but about the golfing and having refined control when you're golfing.
Right. Yeah, I guess I don't know that I'd played any of those other ones previously. I kind of thought it would be more arcadey, like Mario Golf, that there'd be like power shots and weird obstacles and things, but it is pretty straightforward.
Everybody's Golf has power shots, and there's also gimmicky things you can do, which are fun. I actually like tornado cups and mega cups and tiny cups that expand like options for multiplayer stuff that I think are really fun. So I don't know if that stuff's in there, but mega cups and tornado cups are fun for multiplayer golf.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see those yet, but I mean, it's pretty good. And yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty good at those golf games. Like really good.
Well, I guess the other thing too is like it's a touch screen, pull back and flick up to do your shot. I don't know if it has controller support. It might. So you'll have to check that out.
You can't just hit a button on a bar.
Not that I saw.
Needles dropping. Can I delete this already without even opening it?
But there is some other cool stuff that they put on there that I want to check out. So, and some older games too, which was something they I thought was a good addition.
Hey, I just threes. I loved threes. Threes Plus is on there. Huck was talking about Fruit Ninja Plus.
I still play threes. Like
threes is
pretty
a good
much every day. Couple games before bed.
Yeah, that's a good one. Put like Spell Tower, I think Monument Valley, Fruit Ninja.
Play threes while you're going number 2. They really, I would say they should have called it twos, but didn't a game rip it off on Android that was doing the same thing but with multiples of 2?
Could be.
I think there was a game called like 2048 or something like that.
Oh yeah, and it just ripped off that concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could dive in. I also played some Apple Arcade stuff. I think you played both of these games, Dwight. So, but I tried a Monsters Expedition, which I think came to Apple Arcade fairly recently, and I think also that it just came out pretty recently in general. You play as this almost like bear-looking thing, and you kind of go to these little islands, and you push over tree stumps, and then you try to get between the islands.
Is this the one it's kind of like Untitled Goose Game a little bit, where you're kind of just like messing with people, or am I getting mixed up with another one?
No, I don't. Not that I've seen. Right now, it's basically just like it's like a push block game, except the twist is that the logs, depending on their orientation, if they're kind of like straight up and down or side to side, they react in a different way. So if they're straight up and down, you can kind of walk over top of them. But if they're sideways, you need 2 of them in order to form like a little bridge. And the bridge, if you can push against something, can also kind of make a raft to move you. So I only played sort of like the first main area, and I didn't even solve all the puzzles. It's kind of neat. They kind of lead you through an arc to get to a new area, but there are little offshoots off of each island that you can try to solve if you can. And it was pretty fun, though I got to this point where they have a fast travel system, and I did the fast travel, and then I took the path back to where I was already, and I had to like resolve some things, and it was a really long way to get back to the fast travel area. You can't just fast travel from anywhere. You can only fast travel from specific points. So I kind of got frustrated at that point because I didn't really want to redo all the stuff I had done in order to get back to where I was. And so that kind of turned me off a bit. Probably I shouldn't have bothered going backwards to try to get all the stuff from my first area. That was probably my first mistake. But I mean, the thing is, you don't have any real notice when you leave that first area. You just kind of like think you're trying to solve the puzzle, and then they introduce a new mechanic and you're kind of taken to the next area. So it's kind of abrupt and you don't really have any knowledge that it's going to happen. So I don't know. The design of that kind of threw me off a bit. Then
what was the name of that game?
A Monsters Expedition. It's pretty cartoony looking. It almost looks cel shaded, but I don't think it is cel shaded. I think it's just pastel kind of art style.
The one I was thinking of is called Sneaky Sasquatch. It's you're a Sasquatch and you just like mess with people, and it's supposed to be pretty good, but I haven't tried it.
The other game I tried on there was called Mini Motorways, which is, I don't know if it's by the same guys that made Mini Metro, but I would maybe assume it was. So Mini Metro was like trains. This is cars. And you basically, the gameplay mechanic is you basically houses and I guess sort of like shopping malls or like points of interest pop up. And you have to try to connect the roads between them. And you only get a certain number of roads. Then as the game progresses, you can get like stoplights to try to control the traffic. You also get different color of houses. So blue houses will only pick up blue passengers, and red will pick up red, etc. You can also get like highways and other things. I only played the first little intro level, but it seemed like a nice little relaxing like builder game or something, I guess. Builder puzzle game, I guess you would call it. I don't know exactly what you'd call that type of game, but did you try that one, Dwight?
No, I haven't tried that one yet, but
okay.
Can confirm it's the same developer as Mini Metro.
Okay.
And Mini Metro Plus, I think, just is on Apple Arcade now as well.
Okay. Yeah, so that's all I played, but those two games were pretty neat. If you want to give them a try, if you like a puzzle game, you might want to look at Monsters Expedition and I guess another puzzle game, Mini Motorways, which I liked.
I platinumed. I was saying it wrong last week. I apologize. I couldn't. I thought Huck was the one who said it was Kaze originally, but he said it was Sean that said that. It is.
I don't think it was me.
I thought it was Huck too. It is Kaze and the Wild Masks. Either way, it's still my game of the year so far. It has been platinumed. Absolutely love the game. One of the best platformers, if not the best platformer I've played in 10 years or so. So absolutely love it.
And I started playing that, but I'm only 3 areas in, so I'm not very far. But so far, really also enjoying it quite a lot.
Fantastic game. And then I started another game, NieR Automata, which I had not played before. And I guess I played the intro before and loved it, but didn't stick with it. So this time I'm sticking with it. I'm about 10 hours in at this point. And what I love about the demo, I don't know, did you guys, or not the demo, the intro, I think there might have been a demo for it though, where it's like this introductory sequence where it's switching perspectives all the time. At one point it's a 2D shooter, left to right, then it's like a top-down vertical, then it switches to a twin stick shooter, and the camera perspective is changing the entire game. And then in its core form, it's like a 3D brawler, but you have a thing that shoots with you as well. And I love the idea of switching this camera perspective. Like, I thought this is super cool, that if it's all the different levels, you're going to be going back and forth between different genres of shooter, basically. I was like, that's an amazing idea. Now, unfortunately, when you get into the game, it doesn't happen that often. Every once in a while, it'll switch to like a 2D perspective, which is fun, but it's mostly in a very typical 3D roaming camera perspective. So that's a bit of a disappointment. I thought that was kind of the hook of the game, and I think Sean would like it. I know there's like multiple playthroughs and endings, and it's the menu system integration is really interesting. Like it's your boot up menu and customization. Like, I think Sean would like it. Although there's a lot of frustrating stuff. Like there's enemies I ran into that just slaughtered me out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
its checkpoint system sucks. Like you go back to the last time you quick saved at these machines, ugh, it was brutal. How many times I had to replay certain sections, and only to hit some enemy that I don't know if you did you play it, Huck?
Yeah, I played it. I don't know how long, but I recall it also having like really wide open areas with big distance between and really nothing, and it's really hard to tell where you are.
Yeah,
So you really have to rely on the map in
which
order
isn't that great
to,
either.
which is not that great to get wherever you want to go. And I did kind of enjoy it, but the same thing, like I didn't really know what the hook was of this game, and I think it's one of those games where, at the end there's some like moral ambiguity or something that you know journalists love because it makes them think and makes them give them something to write about. But the gameplay for the first like I think I probably played probably about 10 hours, same as you. I would guess, but it really kind of just is a lot of the same after that first intro part. Then it becomes this sort of like third person shooter type action game.
Yeah, which I'm it's okay. Don't get me wrong. Like I like it. I'm not as blown away. Like the first hour blew me away, and then it just kind of becomes a little overwhelming, unintuitive. And I agree with what Huck said. Like the level design, not very interesting. Like sparse and confusing, which is not a great combination.
It kind of reminds me of like PlayStation 2, maybe PlayStation 3, like kind of level design where they were limited by hardware. So they basically had, just cube buildings with maybe like a texture over top to make it look like they had windows, and then wide open grass spaces with not much vegetation or anything like that, and just, the enemies. So it's
I
kind of,
agree.
I do want to go back and give it another shake because it is so highly like praised by a lot of people. So I feel like I'm missing something. So I don't know. As you continue through, you'll have to let me know
Yeah.
when it gets to this awe moment.
I know a part of it is the different endings and stuff like that, which
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to go down that road that much. I think you can buy a lot of the trophies in the in-game shop, so that could be a problem. We'll see. It'll be a true test of this game. If I want to play through it again to get the different endings, or if I just buy those trophies. I think I know what direction I'm heading. But I played it because I thought it was a sequel coming out. Apparently, it's a remake. Well, a remake of a prequel that was only released in either Japan or Europe. There's a bit of confusion as to how many different versions of the original NieR there are. But I thought it was a sequel, but it's not.
I mean, it sounds cool though. Like it reminds me from what you're saying a little bit of that Velocity 2X game. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I never played it.
Yeah,
I
that game
remember
was
that
incredible.
switching perspective though was like very definitive, right? And I
Yeah.
think you initiated it as the player, or was it only did the levels decide when you switched?
I think the
The
levels
levels did. They
decided.
kind of had like places where you would go to the other mode,
Okay.
and then you would have to get something like a key card or something, and then you would come back out into your ship and progress further. But
Definitely
yeah,
a
no, that
heavy
game was really good.
Kojima vibe too with NieR Automata.
Yeah, yeah.
Heavily Kojima influenced, which I like. I think that's a good thing about the game.
Hmm. Uh, I got one other thing I can mention. So I decided I tried this a long time ago. Didn't really get like played maybe half an hour. Kind of it didn't grab me. I was a little disappointed. Hollow Knight. Went back, giving it another chance, and I am really enjoying it. I'm like I don't know 7 or 8 hours into it, and I mean it does have some frustrating things, and I think it's got a bit of the Dark Souls stuff in there, where if you die, well, if you die twice, you lose whatever money you had built up at that point, which is kind of frustrating. And it's certainly like a game where you it's you have to get the map for each area, and until that point you're kind of roaming around blind, and it's a little bit risky because at any point any enemy can really kill you. So in that sense, there's a bit of a difficulty level there. I don't know. From what I understand, some of the bosses get pretty hard, so we'll see how that goes. But so far, there's only really one that had any real challenge so far that I've seen. So I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I'm kind of surprised how much it reminds me of Ori as well, which maybe isn't that big of a surprise, but I don't know. There's a lot of elements that, like, I know Ori came out, I think, a couple years before this one. And I don't know how much of an influence it was, but they share a lot of concepts in terms of mechanics and sort of the world and the feel of it. So,
And the protagonists look pretty similar.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the sequel is supposed to come out this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that like Void Heart Edition or something like that? Or
Well, Void Heart Edition is what I'm playing.
is that on
Silk Song
the
is
Switch? Or
the sequel.
Silk Song, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, Void Heart. I'm playing it on PS5, but I don't really know what the difference is. I think it's just extra DLC or something. But yeah, it's pretty solid Metroid-like game.
No more Soulstorm? Gave up on Soulstorm?
No, I don't know, whatever reason felt like playing this, but I do want to play a bit more of Soulstorm.
Not playing Resident Evil 7?
No, but after watching the the showcase, I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably about
Combination of your two favorite worlds, VR and Resident Evil. Franchise you claim to love but never play.
I will probably get to that in the next couple of weeks. So
Care to make a solemn vow?
I'll make a solemn vow.
All right.
That's it for me.
Anything else for you, Huck?
No, that's all.
All right. Well, I thought we might carry us into midnight so I could make it official, but didn't happen. But tomorrow is the birthday of Andrew, Huck City. So happy birthday to you.
Thanks.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Best way to ring it in is doing a podcast.
Oh, yeah. Up super late and then up super early.
Hopefully you're adorned with love on your birthday. And
Yeah.
you should also check out youtube.com/GameJunk. I didn't talk about it at the top of the show, but all 3 parts of A Way Out are up there. Outriders playthrough. You know, like, love, subscribe, smash. Get that needle moving.
Yeah, hopefully more playthroughs coming up soon.
And check out on Twitter, My Angry Commute and Equilibrium Sis for Huck and Film Junk for Sean. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.